Hi guys, did you know around 1 in 15 Fife properties are being sold with no chain at all? So is it a good idea to rent between moving home or to be chain free? So moving home is said to be the third most stressful thing you can do. So if you can do anything to reduce that stress, so much better. When buying your next Fife home, being chain free can certainly reduce your stress and offers many advantages over other buyers, and some disadvantages, to be honest. So what is a chain? A property chain is made where there is a line of home buyers. Now, it's key here, and a home sellers are linked through the property transactions. Okay, so an example of this is classic, is a Fife first home buyer purchases a property. Okay, the sellers of that property then buy another property, and those sellers then buy another property, and so on and so forth. I mean, each home sale and purchase are relying on the success of every property in the so-called chain. This means that if there's one hiccup in that process, in one of these properties, every sale along the whole purchase actually disappears as a result, and the whole chain could collapse. No wonder everyone's on tenterhooks when you think about it, when there's a long chain involved in the whole process. Yet Fife buyers who sell their home before searching for their new Fife home considerably reduce their stress levels because they're not needing all their ducks in a row to line up in order to move on. The key here is, though, that being chain free puts the Fife homeowners in an enhanced position to negotiate with home sellers when they, in turn, may be more enthusiastic to accept a lower offer as a result. It's exactly like they talk about the car sales. When you talk about car sales, right, and you see, will you buy any car? And they always say to you, if you've sold your car and it's not a trade-in, you could probably get a better deal. And it's exactly the same in this process. If you're in a better position than anyone else and you've got your house sold or under offer or concluded missives, then you're in a better position to make an offer on a house and may actually be the thing that clinches the deal for the next person because it allows them to move on as a result of the process. I mean, it sounds brilliant. Chain-free, the chain-free life, doesn't it, really? I mean, everyone is a chain-free buyer once and when they receive the first-time buyer and they're lucky enough to have an additional home to move into. The other option really here is selling your Fife home and moving into rented accommodation. But that'll end up costing a few £1,000. And most people perceive that as wasted money in the process. Together with the added cost of employing the services of a home remover twice, with all that hassle that entails as well, and doubled as a result of that. However, that's what many Fife homeowners are actually doing at this moment. And let's look at that. So 6.8% of all properties in the market today in Fife are being sold without a chain. So potentially there's about 90% of people going through a huge amount of stress in selling their house. And the reality is they don't really need to. If you can have an estate agent, it properly manages the sale and the process for you. That's the key here. So over 90% of people are having additional stress when they don't need to have it at all. It is a really easy task for us to manage because we go through in this day in and day out. So interestingly, Fife doesn't follow the national average, which is 29.2% of properties being sold without a chain. So I can't disagree, moving home twice in a short period will be all stressful, and rent could be perceivably looked at wasted money. But I have to recommend you look at the bigger picture here. It is one of the sturdiest sellers markets in a generation that we've got just now, meaning you should get top dollar for your Fife home if you're not getting it already. If you are selling for the home report value at this point in time, I've got to say you've got the wrong agent. That's really the reality it comes down to, because the market is so buoyant that the majority of people, ours anyway, buyers are offering more than the home report value, sometimes significantly more. But that's another story. Then, by waiting for the full rollout of the immunisation programme to give the Fife homeowners the peace of mind to place their Fife home on the property market, for Fife house prices to cool and the number of properties to sell increase. This is what could happen, you see. So if you don't sell now, you're not getting that advantage, because later on, a lot of people are just sitting there waiting for everything to sell, the dust to sell, then they'll put their houses onto the market, and then there'll be a complete flood, and therefore house prices will start to stabilise, and offers will not be as attractive as you think they could be just now. Then you could pounce in and buy as well when you think about it, when the market cools. If you put your house on the market now and you wait for this, you could wait till the market cools, and then you can pounce in and buy when more properties come on and more realistic asking prices are asked at that time. So what does it actually show for Fife property that has been sold that make a difference? So what type of Fife property that is sold makes any difference? So 7.8% of detached houses in Fife are being sold chain-free. 6.3% of semi-detached houses are being sold chain-free. 6.4% of townhouses, terraced houses, are being sold chain-free. 6.8% of apartments and flats are sold chain-free. And 8.9% of bungalows are being sold chain-free throughout Fife. And again, it tells us there's a lot of people out there going through a lot of stress, which is unnecessary, over 90% of us, because you could put yourself in a really easy position and be chain-free. Of course, these aren't all Fife homeowners. They're not all going into rented accommodation hoping to get a bargain next year. Many of the bungalows that are being sold because the homeowner has either moved into sheltered accommodation or sadly passed on, and the Fife landlord selling their Fife buy-to-let rental investments as well. And don't get me wrong, there are also risks involved in this with this type of home buying strategy. Moving into rented accommodation means that you're out of the Fife property market. Property values could dip in the next 12 months, yet they could still continue to rise. You're taking a gamble on a dip in the market, and it could go wrong. I've seen it happen before. I actually bought somebody's property. They thought it was, on the advice of the estate agent at the time that they had, they actually thought the market was going to go down, and I bought the property, and 2 years later, I sold it for double the price. That's a sore one to get. All because the estate agent advised them at the time didn't know what they were talking about and didn't understand the market. Doubled the value in 2 years. Like most things in life, it depends on your own personal circumstances. Where you are in your life, your risk to attitude, your belief on what will or won't happen in the property values in the next 12 to 18 months in the Fife market. Listen, guys, if you'd like to chat at any point in time, please feel free to send me a message here direct. I'll be able to pick it up, or you can drop my line as well, and you could contact one of our local offices. I'm more than happy to go over your particulars. It doesn't mean to say, if you contact me, that you're selling your house. You just need the best advice at this point in time, whether to do this or whether to not, or whether actually you want to know and understand your circumstances and where you sit. Sometimes it is best to get an external pair of eyes to look at this situation, because sometimes you're too close to the forest. You're too close to the forest. You can't actually see the trees, and that's the reality. So the key is here is to get external advice from a professional. It knows what they're doing and can actually see it objectively. And until next time, guys, I'm Jim Parker for Fife Properties TV.